Hey folks, James from Bommer here with another guide video. Today we're going to be covering properties. Bommer properties define the columns and values that you can view, edit, and filter by within Bommer for SOLIDWORKS. By the end of this video you'll be able to create text, true, false, and multiple choice properties, as well as configuration specific or global custom properties. And you'll be able to expose computed or internal part metadata using built-in properties. To get started, locate and click the gear icon in Bommer to open settings. This form lets you adjust the settings for Bommer, which includes properties, views, filters, and other items. The first tab in the settings form is for properties, which is where we'll stay for this video. First, we'll show how to add a new property. Click on the plus button, and this will open the Edit Properties screen so we can configure a new property. The Edit Properties screen lets you specify the type, name, and other attributes of a property so that Bommer can know where to get and store your metadata properly. By default, the property type text for text-based properties is selected for new properties, so we'll start there. This property will be called Special Material Notes, with a category of general properties and the custom property Special Material Notes. There are a couple of things to keep in mind on this screen. Properties must have a unique category and name, but you can create multiple properties with the same name in different categories. Custom properties where you tell Bommer which SOLIDWORKS custom property to use. This does not have to match the Bommer name, which gives you flexibility to change how the property is displayed within Bommer without having to change your SOLIDWORKS data. The scope tells Bommer where to look for this property in your SOLIDWORKS files. There's a lot to cover here, so we'll go more in depth on this in a little bit. The order number tells Bommer where to place this property in an ordered list, which controls how the property shows up in other screens like the Edit View screen. Once we're done, press OK to save this property. Okay, now for a little bit more on scope. Bommer lets you customize how your data is stored within SOLIDWORKS by changing the scope of a property. Supported scopes include part followed by an @ sign corresponds to properties in the Custom Properties tab of the SOLIDWORKS Properties screen. These can be used for properties that apply to a part across all configurations. Part active configuration corresponds to properties in the Configuration Specific Properties tab of the SOLIDWORKS Properties screen. These can be used for properties that vary based on the part configuration. Top level lets you store data about a component in the top level assembly's properties, either in the active configuration of the top level assembly or across all configurations. Parent assembly stores data about a component in the active configuration of its immediate parent assembly. You can also tell Bommer to fall back to part @ if a value is not found using the selected scope. To do this, check the Use Part @ if value in scope is missing checkbox underneath the scope field. So, back to creating properties. Bommer can set up multiple choice properties, which are like text properties but have a fixed set of possible values you can pick from in the editor. We'll create a multiple choice property called Factory Processing Department and add in the options we want to be able to pick from. Note that you can also tell Bommer to allow other values by clicking the Allow New Values in Editor checkbox. New values not specified in this list can be entered by typing into the field in the editor, and will have an icon to indicate that they are safe but not in the fixed set of specified values. Bommer can create properties that can only be true or false by selecting True/False for the property type. This is set up almost exactly like the text property and will show up as a checkbox in the table editor. You can also edit this property from the Bommer right-click menu by clicking the Toggleable in right-click menu checkbox. Bommer also exposes a lot of internal SOLIDWORKS values, Bommer calculations, and other metadata that can be included in your BOM. These properties use the built-in property type. Like before, fill in a category and name, and then pick the built-in metadata you wish to view. Some built-in properties can also be edited in the editor, like the other types of properties, but many like last saved date are read-only values that are computed internally and can only be viewed. After you've created your properties and pressed OK on the Edit Property form, they will appear in the Settings Custom Properties table. If all looks good, press the green check mark to commit these changes to Bommer. After saving the screen, once you close this property, Bommer will refresh the live view to account for the new properties you've added. Or, without closing this screen, you can switch to the Views or Filters tab to start building views or filters to include the new properties. Well, that's all for now, folks. As always, I'll include some useful links in the description down below. But if you have any questions, feel free to email us at support@bommer.io or leave a message down below. But for now, have an awesome day.